Welcome to the Innovators. I'm Julia Sun. Way back in 1998, the Department of Justice filed antitrust charges against Microsoft saying, hey guys, you can't have a monopoly and just make people use your stuff. And in the year 2000, Microsoft lost the suit and was forced to divide into halves. This kind of backdrop gave a chance to a new generation of startups, which became even bigger than the original tech giant in the decades after. And today it's like deja vu, right? Some of the top American lawmakers, including presidential candidates, want to break up the most powerful names in Silicon Valley. How will it be done? And for users like you and me, in the middle of all the privacy violations and hacks, who can you trust? Or rather, who can you antitrust? Here to weigh in, we have Nicole Goodkind, senior reporter at Newsweek, and David Levine, founder of Odin River and an advisor to startups. Hello guys.
Hi.
I will start with you, Nicole.
Okay.
First. In my memory, this is like the first time tech is such a public issue in the middle of a presidential campaign.
And it's not just left, right? It's
yes.
left and right.
Who is saying what and what is at stake?
Well, when you think about it, think about how you use the internet right now, right? There are three main websites. It's Amazon, Facebook, and then Google. And actually 50% of all e-commerce goes through Amazon, and 70% of all reference links that come from Facebook or Google. So the idea is, and it's Elizabeth Warren who's really proposing to break up these big tech companies. She's the only one with like a major plan right now. But the idea is that they're stifling competition, and it's just too large. So she has a two-pronged plan right now to kind of break up these big companies. And the first part would be to go through Congress and to actually label companies that make more than $25 billion in revenue each year and have both the utility of the marketplace and sell their own things on the marketplace. They would have to separate those two things. And then the second part would actually to go through the FTC and kind of stop these mergers. So these big companies, right? Like Amazon, for example, they'll see batteries are selling really well from a small company, or t-shirts, or whatever it is. And then they'll make the t-shirts themselves, put that small company on the fourth or fifth page, and this is true, this happens, and then put their own stuff first. So she doesn't want that to be allowed anymore. And then, companies like Facebook see something as Instagram is, taking some of their traffic from them. They buy Instagram. So she wants to prevent that. And that's her, prerogative. I think that there's support on the left and right for these ideas.
And David, you happen to know Elizabeth Warren very well, as well as her policies. Who do you think she is likely to target first and foremost? And also, it's not easy to break up a $1 trillion business, to say the least. How exactly will it be done?
Yeah, well, Senator Warren's been very explicit about the plans that she has, and on her website she talks about Facebook, Amazon, Google as being kind of three largest examples. If you think about it, like back in the old days, utilities, as we think of utilities, electric utilities, they touch every home. Google does the same thing today, so does Amazon, so does Facebook. So those are the kind of the big ones that are, at least are the ones that are named explicitly in the policies. In terms of how easy it'll be, well, it's not that hard to say Facebook, sell Instagram. I think that's pretty straightforward. For Amazon to say, hey, Amazon, you can't make the t-shirt company go out of business by making an Amazon Basics t-shirt. There's certain things that are pretty straightforward. Other things are a little trickier. Can you split up Google search from ads? I don't, there's things that'll be a little bit more nuanced. But much of the major policies are pretty straightforward. They're the big companies, basically treating them like the utilities that they are. If you're an electric utility company, you can't make everyone buy your light bulbs. You can let other light bulb companies compete for your light bulbs. Amazon, the same way, we can have people kind of sell goods on Amazon if you're a utility that people use to buy all your stuff on the internet.
But this is pretty revolutionary, because normally when we looked at antitrust lawsuits in the past, they were hurting the consumer, but we're getting actually a good deal, the consumer, because of what's going on, right? We're getting the cheaper t-shirt. This is actually stifling innovation and hurting smaller companies, not the consumer. So we've never quite looked at it like this before. First round funding for new startups is down 22% since 2012, and Elizabeth Warren, at least, or Senator Warren, believes that that's partially because of what's going on here.
There's two things you mentioned that are important. One is, one of the things that this is about is encouraging innovation and competition. So no more buying Instagram, no more buying WhatsApps, because we want to have innovators and competition, but it's important we're careful about not hurting consumers. Do we want to make Amazon sell Whole Foods? I don't know. I like to buy my Whole Foods on Amazon and Amazon Prime. So there's some nuances that I think need to be done in an appropriate way that don't hurt consumers.
Right.
But in the long run, the idea is to encourage entrepreneurship and make it so the small business can compete. It keeps Amazon honest as well.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Nicole, Republicans have had problems with Silicon Valley, namely they're not happy with how they say some of the tech companies are censoring the more conservative messages on the internet. And historically, most of the backings from Silicon Valley go to Democratic candidates. I think it's 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, even higher. This time, however, because Elizabeth Warren is targeting the very people, the very company who have been backing her, it's a tricky situation. Does this create an opportunity for the right?
It is a tricky situation, but when you actually look at the numbers, Elizabeth Warren made more in donations from Silicon Valley employees than any other Democratic candidate, and this is when she was bashing them. I think that people who work in Silicon Valley aren't the same as the few CEOs, the Mark Zuckerbergs. There are very few of those people out there, and they're not, they're not giving their money, but the employees are. So I think when you actually look at the numbers, it hasn't made too much of a difference. And you hear some people, the CEO of or founder of Sonos and other venture capitalists, are actually supporting her because they see something in her. They see that she's straightforward. She likes to break things up. She likes to explain things. She has policy, and they kind of agree with that.
I think it's probably better to frame this as not a left or right issue, but more of a fairness issue. When regulators stop regulating big companies and stop protecting individuals and stop kind of doing their job, as they have in the past. Again, bringing it back to Microsoft, bringing it back to utilities in the past. This is just a modern form of utilities, regulating them in a way that's fair to all. It's not left, it's not right. It's about fairness, and it's about allowing entrepreneurs, right, to innovate. That's actually kind of a right issue.
Yeah. But
also consumers, which, is everybody in the United States, but maybe that's a left issue. I think it's just about fairness is probably the right way to frame it from my vantage point.
And it does seem like Mark Zuckerberg is an easy target for the left and the right now. So.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us, Nicole
you.
and David.
Thank you.
We'll see you back here next week.